But I wanted to start today, I'm going to talk to you about mental health, because we have, but in the workplace, we have a massive stigma around this word. And hopefully what I'm going to do today is get you guys to think about what your bias is. Think about how you judge others. Because everybody in this room will probably sit there and go, oh, I don't judge anybody. Oh, you do? All day long. We all do. Based on their shoes, their hair, their accent. My mum always says to me, because I have an Essex accent, and my mum is quite eloquent. So she always says to me, I really hope you pronounce your T's properly when you're talking, Wendy. And I say, Mum, I'm from Essex. This is how I talk. Yeah, but we all judge all day long. We all do it. So I want to unpick your maps of reality a little bit, give you a little in-depth wander into yourselves, hopefully not traumatise any of you. But if I do, you can book a section and I can take it out. So it's all fine. Right? So there might be disclaimer as earlier. It might be uncomfortable. It might not. All right? Self-awareness. Everything as far as I'm concerned, and remember what I'm going to talk to you about now is my map of reality. Right? I love people to disagree with me. I love people to challenge with me. I never view anything as conflict because I just view it as two maps of reality having a conversation with each other. But self-awareness, most people are not self-aware. They like to think they are, but they're really, really not. We have, on average, depending on what school of thought you come from, 60-odd thousand thoughts a day. You're only aware of about 5% of them. So if you just think about that for a moment, what is going through your head that's running stuff that you don't even know is happening? You're not even aware of the thoughts you're thinking. We're pre-programmed machines. We have to be to function in life. So everybody who drove here today in a car? Right? When you got in your car this morning, did you have to get your how to drive a car manual out and reread it? No? You didn't get in it and try and drive an automatic like a manual. You just got in your car and drove, yeah? So we're pre-programmed for a reason, to make life easy for us. But that pre-programming can include a lot of things that are quite detrimental to us, as in emotional states that have been pre-programmed, belief systems that have been pre-programmed, and many other things. So I want you to just start thinking about your programming through this whole experience. And to demonstrate the lack of self-awareness, this morning, when you were all about to leave the house, who put their left foot in their left shoe first? Who put their right foot in their right shoe first? Who has got no idea what shoe they put on what foot first? Right? Now, this is just your day. You'll drive the same way, you'll drink the same drink, you'll say the same things, you'll do the same stuff. So I always say to people, when you really get the hang of self-awareness, you can start living life on purpose, not autopilot. So that's when life changes. When you recognise everything I'm doing, thinking, saying and feeling on a daily basis is my autopilot. That's pretty much it. And you know your system's doing it to keep you safe. It thinks you love it. So even this thing has been designed to give you your outcomes. It loves you. So if you wake up in the morning and you go, my life is terrible, nobody likes me, it goes, yes, that is true, and I'll make it so. I'll find every experience to validate that throughout the day. Right? If you wake up in the morning and go, today is a good day, it goes, yes, it is. I'll make sure your experience validates that for you. This only ever says yes to you. It's as simple as that. It's not designed to fight you. It's designed to get you the outcome you're running. So I just want you to think about that. This is going to get interesting now. I hope this is the right way around. And let's admit it. We are all mental. It's as simple as that. We all have an attachment to that word. And the reason being is because it comes from the Latin mentalis, which just means of the mind. We're all of the mind. Our reality is created in here and then projected out. So we're all mental, right? But it depends on your perspective of that word, what type of mental you and everybody else is going to be. We're meaning-making machines. That's all we do. We make meaning out of everything all day long. We have billions of bits of information coming through our senses every second. And our beautiful onboard computer has to filter all this information out and come down to what's relevant to you. So when I'm having a conversation with Chris, he'll hear certain things from my language that Sally won't hear. He'll feel different things from my energy field that Sally won't feel, because they've got their own unique maps of reality. So they will be reacting differently, that's the word, to other people in the room based on what I'm saying, my facial expressions, the energy I give out. Now, we all do this all day long. So when you think about the word mental, what does it bring up for you in your life? And this is what I want you to think about. If we're ever going to break anything down, and we're ever going to improve our working environments, all of our relationships, we have to work out what our bias and judgment is around a word first, so we can recognise it, so we can decide whether we want to hold that moving forwards because it serves us, or we want to let it go so we can start improving that environment and the way we interact with people. So if you think about that now, mental, the word mental, I like to call it mind health, yeah? Because it just takes it straight away out of that category of mental, doesn't it? But if you think about the word mental, so for me growing up, I never knew anybody who had what we term as nowadays a mental health problem. We just didn't, it wasn't discussed. I grew up in a pub, very open environment. My dad had, you know, he wouldn't have anybody being judged in that environment. Everybody's money was the same colour. Do you know what I mean? Like, you respect everybody that walks into that place as they respect you. So for me, mental, the only time I ever heard that was when someone was talking about being put in an asylum. And I come from the days where we used to have what we would call mental asylums. There were places locally, like there was one in Whittam, there's one we used to drive down the M25 past, where you would see what we term as mental patients. So we developed this massive stigma around the word that when people start discussing mental health, they then shut down, go backwards and go, oh, I've not got no mental health problems. Because if you come from where I come from, that means you need locking in an asylum. So once we know that and we can have a laugh, I use humour, I laugh at everything. So I use humour around everything. My way to get out of that is just to laugh at it and go, we're all in an asylum. We're all inmates at the moment, do you know what I mean, in our own way. So how do we break it down so we can accept each other and help each other to get the most out of our mind health, which is very important. Because as far as I'm concerned, your mind health is important as your physical health. And when it comes to a working environment, a sports environment, personal relationships, the one thing that locks down performance is emotion. Trigger, driver, behaviour. Who talked about triggers? Oh, the grief counsellors. Funeral, yeah. So you talked about triggers. So what happens in life is, we have an experience. If the experience has a heightened emotional state, positive or negative, it gets stored in our neurology with priority. So all that means is you don't have to relearn how to do that. So if you've been bitten by a dog when you're 5 years old and you've got massive fear, every time your unconscious sees or hears a dog or someone talks about a dog, your unconscious will pull in that barcode and go, don't worry, I've got your back because I love you. We know what to do when we see one of those four-legged things. We develop fear in our system and we run or we scream. Yeah? Now, on a positive side as well, if you've been on a roller coaster or out with your friends and had a right laugh and you had real positive emotion, your unconscious will store that memory as well. So next time you go into a space where you get a similar feeling, it will rerun that one so you can enhance that. Because it just wants you to have a good time in life. So I want you to think about what that means in a working context. If someone feels good, they'll run one behaviour. If someone feels bad, they'll run another behaviour. It's pretty simple. So it's not about the triggers. Triggers can be everywhere. It's not about the triggers in life, trying to remove triggers. Don't go near that person, or, you know, don't read those books, or don't watch that over there. It's about how do you deal with the emotion in the moment to change it so you can shift your behaviour. So that's what I want you to think about. It's all about emotion. And if we can never discuss emotion, how are we going to get to the top performance? How are we going to develop a better relationship if we can never discuss emotion? And this is where it comes back again to self-awareness. You have to be aware of what is limiting you and how you are limiting you, because that's what we all do. I come from the family of just suck it up on the inside and get on with it. However, in my sporting career, that limited my performance, because if I was feeling anxiety or if I'd had an argument with the coach or something and was holding some anger or resentment, my performance would go down. So I needed to find a way to release that in a safe space without the fear of being benched because I'm showing emotion. And that is, again, it comes down to that fear, the fear of someone thinking you have a weakness because you're showing emotion will stop you showing emotion, which limits your performance. So we're like on a hamster wheel, aren't we, really? So your map of reality. I want you to think about this one, of how you got to where you are. So this is just sort of like rough science, yeah? From the age of 0 to 7, I want you to imagine, I haven't got my phone next to me, but imagine when you're born with a blank smartphone. And on that smartphone, you've got your basic operating system. So that's, you know, you can breathe, you can make noise, you can move, yeah? They're just your basics. Then for the first 7 years of your life, every single person around you, so all your caregivers, your family members, your school, all the books you read, every interaction you have puts an app on that smartphone. So you could have stuff like, you have one person saying to you, you're such a good kid, you're amazing, I love what you do. But then you could go into another classroom and have a teacher keep saying to you, why are you so stupid? Why are you always last? Why are you so slow? Why do you always misbehave? So that's an app that's going on your smartphone. By the time you hit 8, 9, 10 years old, what happens then is you open up your smartphone, you go, what apps have I got on here? Oh, this is my I'm no good at English app. Right, so in this class, I'll mess about because I'm no good. This is my worthless app. This is my I'm an amazing bright child app. So can you see, I want you to start thinking about you now. What have you got on there that people have given you as gifts? And this comes down to the bias, the stigma and the judgment around mental. What apps were you given about people that were emotional, that were maybe being hospitalised if you knew anybody, or those kids at school? We've spoken about domestic abuse. You know, those kids at school that were really quiet, you know, everyone used to take the mickey out of. You didn't know they were going home and getting beaten up every night because they never told anybody. But what judgment did you make about that child based on their behaviour? Now, this is your map of reality, and it encompasses so many things. And this is created your whole entire life, yeah? You just have to be aware you've got it. It was enhanced through your teenage years, through your 20s, through your 30s, through your 40s, if you're like me, through your 50s, yeah? It still keeps getting added to. But the lovely thing is, it's just programming. However, the challenging bit is you've got to become aware you're doing it, you're running it, and that someone's giving you one of these beautiful gifts before you can do anything with it. And it's not something that you can ever get rid of in 24 hours. People in this generation want a quick fix. They want someone to click their fingers and everything changes. Life is a daily experience. That means if you want to change your apps, you can delete them, but sometimes you might have to delete them 15 times, the same app. So you might think, yeah, today I'm going to let that one go, but then the emotion will be connected to it 5 days later because something's happened, and boom, you're back in the same place. So you have to choose one. I always say to people, if you want to move forwards in life with anything, choose one thing that you're either thinking, feeling or doing, and then just work on that one thing. And keep reminding your programming, because it's just the program. Remember the autopilot? That program will run on autopilot until you change its direction for it. And some of them can be stuck in there like a tick. If you've ever tried getting a tick off a dog with a pair of tweezers, never do that. But they can be stuck in there like a tick, yeah? So just remember, it takes time, it takes It takes a willing and a want to do it, and it takes persistence. And most people will give up on day one. Or they'll try to do 38 things at the same time and then give up because nothing's working. So that's your map of reality. Language, everything's about language. So my mate Claire, right, she's got more of an Essex accent than I have, with a bit of Southend and a bit of London. But I want you to think about the word mental when I'm saying this. So for Claire, she has no real connection with mental as being people in asylums, right? She just makes me chuckle every day. So she'll use it as an expression of disbelief. So she'll witness something happen and go, Wend, it was mental. I've never seen anything like it. They just drove into each other. They're all mental, right? And then she'll use it as an expression of a unique event. So the barn owl incident, I've got to tell you about this because this is how the universe works, right? I know this sounds funny. So I thought I'd lighten the mood after the funeral. So never have me as an after dinner speaker at a funeral, seriously. So the barn owl incident, this one made me die. So Claire said to me, I had this wicked experience when I was driving home and there was a barn owl sat on this post, and as I drove past it, I thought that'd be so nice to see that up close. She said the next day, be careful what you ask the universe for. She said the next day as I'm driving down the road, she said, I saw the barn owl again and thought, that's wicked. And she said then it flew at the car and literally brushed the windscreen and went up. She said it was mental, Wend. Mental, she's going. Right. So that was a unique event. And then again, an expression of someone's behaviour. She'll use it positively or negatively. You know, when someone did something, she'll go, that's absolutely mental. I've never seen anyone do that, on a positive or negative. So just think of your association to the word. If you do not have any negative, like asylum connections to the word mental, you'll probably be very open with your emotional states. So you'll be able to speak to people in work and go, I'm struggling with this, because you've never developed a connection. Yeah, remember, we're meaning-making machines. So you have to think about what connections linguistically you've made, because there's something, I love language. Language is like my specialist subject. The reason I love it is because of the word spelling. The word spelling, split it in two, it just means a spell in the doing. Every single word you utter on the inside of your head or you utter out loud is casting a spell all day long. What are you casting? Start becoming aware of your language. As soon as you become aware of your language, life changes. It really does. So the outcome of all this is when you know your map of reality and you actually sit down and you're honest with each other. And well, more honest with yourself, to be honest. Because most people are not honest with themselves. You'll sit down and you'll decide, I don't view others like that. I don't view myself like that. I have no bias. I have no judgment. And if you're in that space of total denial, and I don't mean the river in Egypt, I mean the word denial, you're never going to move forwards in your life. So just asking yourself these questions based around when you look at your map of reality, and if you're really honest with yourself, you can make shifts overnight. You can realise that actually that person who talks continually to you at work that you think, just shut up, you're smart, shut up in your head, have a look at their map of reality. So every single person, instead of thinking like, oh God, shut up, do you know what I mean? Or, oh, not that one again, I'm going to run off out the room before they talk to me. Have a conversation with them. Ask them about their life. Ask them about that experience and then take it as your own. Imagine it, sit in it. See if you can get into that map and have a sense of their experience. I'm not saying you're going to like and love everybody, but when you view someone as a map of reality and in your head you can go, wow, what an interesting map of reality that person has, you develop better relationships. The person you are then talking to feels valued. Now, if any of you in this room have ever been in a situation where you feel unvalued, what happens? Your emotional state kicks off. You feel bad about yourself and you've just asked your neurology to drag up everything from your past to remember how unvalued you are. So again, if you can come back into the realm of not being on autopilot but starting to live on purpose, you can start showing other people value. And then the more you do that in your environment, so you become a bit of a spreader of like nice energy, people feel better, which means productivity goes up, which means people feel more comfortable to share with other people. So through your own self-awareness and recognising everything that's going on in your map of reality, and then appreciating that no one is a pattern match of you. Because that's where it all goes wrong. We expect everybody to think and feel and do exactly what we do. But how boring would the world be if we were all pattern matches of each other? That's the AI universe coming in, do you know what I mean? So it just brings us back to self-awareness. You want to change anything in that environment, first of all, you've got to become aware of your own map, aware of your own language, aware of your facial expressions, aware of how you stand, you know, how you talk to people, how bored you are by how many times you've looked at your phone while you're trying to have a conversation. You know, all of these little things, we all do it at some point. But if you want to create the change, you've got to start on the inside of you first. So what are you going to do now? That's my question. When you go back into work tomorrow, when you go home and you see your family, you know, I don't have that problem. I live on my own, so I'm all right. I just get to chat with myself. It's quite a good conversation normally. But what are you going to do now? How are you going to check in with people? If you're a boss or you're a leader in your environment, how can you start creating that safe space and that open door policy where people can talk about what mind matters are on their mind without feeling like they're going to be judged and there's a bias attached to it that means that they're going to be viewed differently and then could possibly be overlooked for promotion or might lose their job or, you know, all of these things. How can you create that space now that you know this? And what activities or reminders are you going to give yourself on a daily basis to stay in the space of awareness? My challenge to you all is tomorrow morning when you wake up, put the other foot in the other shoe. I'm telling you now, you'll all wake up in the morning, you'll bang your left foot straight in the shoe, and then you go, oh, I totally forgot what Wendy said. Because we're so programmed. But if you can start putting the other shoe on the other foot first, then you can start changing your awareness on a daily basis that will then lead to helping others. And just remember, mental health is just someone's experience of their own map of reality. What bothers me isn't going to bother you. Yeah? What I find important in my life isn't going to be important to you. So how can we start working with other people's maps of reality to really start improving the general health, well-being and performance of our environments?